Looking inside. Muscle. Looking inside. Hell nah. What the bird?
Are you ready to do the shoot?
For honor!
Hey, which video are you editing right now? Is it the one
For honor!
No. Hey Tyler, did that product arrive yet?
For honor!
The one
For honor! For honor!
So the highlight features of this thing include an octo-core processor, a 19:9 aspect ratio screen with notch, and an NPU, or Neural Processing Unit. And it's very, very shiny. Does it look as good on camera as it does in person? Dang! So we'll start with the obligatory unboxing. You get a SIM removal tool, you get a bunch of documentation, you get a, oh, that's actually kind of a nice touch. They include a case so that at least while you wait for your nicer one or whatever, you're not going to get that stupid first scratch on the phone that you're otherwise likely to. It actually includes a screen protector as well. So those kinds of things are always a nice touch. They've got a supercharged power supply right here with, I'm sure you'll get one that's compatible with your region, and a USB Type-C cable with an adorable purple inset. Of course, it's no big secret that I think unboxings are boring, so let's have a look at the phone itself. I've actually got a couple of them. I've got that sick purple and blue iridescent, they call it Aurora Gradient or something like that finish. And then I've got a more plain blue one that quite
Oh.
quite frankly, you should be able to tell by now, but I think this one looks so much better. Looking at the physical layout of the phone, there are a couple of things that I think some folks are going to find polarizing. Like, it's really the age of phablets these days, but this is a comfortably one-handable phone. Like, you can actually type. Whoa! At least if you got SwiftKey on anyway, that comes preloaded, which is nice, with one hand on it. But I don't know if everyone is gonna like the duplicated home button, so you've got a software one as well as a built-in one in hardware, and that's actually where the fingerprint sensor is. So it bucks the trend in terms of fingerprint sensor, it bucks the trend in terms of headphone jack, which for me anyway is a really nice inclusion, and then it sticks with the trend for the display notch. I'm happy to see a more handleable option though, and personally, I'm a really big fan of glass backs because even though, actually this one I think I've already got some fingerprints on, even though they do tend to get fingerprinted up pretty easily, what's nice about the glass is that at least they're easy to clean. Then they're perfect. Another choice they made that's gonna be controversial no matter how you slice it is their use of an IPS display. So right now, the main two choices are OLED or LCD.
Let's play for real.
IPS. And they've both got pros and cons, with OLED having perfect blacks and the ability to, show the time even when the screen is off, for example, with IPS having the advantage of basically no chance of running into burn-in issues. So it's a good IPS. They're boasting 96% coverage of NTSC, and it looks, after I turned off the vivid profile that was loaded by default, subjectively really freaking good. But everyone's gonna have their own feelings on a decision like this. Now, this is something really interesting that I picked up on. The way that they've implemented the notch is not like pure notch or pure not notch. So you can see that the display stretches up into the notch area when you're vertical, but check this out. It actually does a little trickery thing. So you watch that change to curved, and then it cuts the notch out when you put video in landscape mode, which personally I think is a really nice touch. Another thing that you can actually do while I'm on the subject of cool little software tricks is you can turn the notch off entirely. And there are actually some nice touches as well. Wireless charging isn't supported, but entirely. Subject of cool little software tricks is you can turn the notch off entirely. Of cool little software tricks is you can turn the notch off entirely. And there are actually some nice touches as well. Wireless charging isn't supported, but it does support 4.5 amp, 5 volt fast charging, and their facial recognition, it is shockingly fast. So I've got it open here, it's looking for my face. Bam, that's really impressive. And this one's cool. There's a feature on here called Smart Rotate that lets the screen rotation follow the direction of your face. Can your phone do this? And it stays in portrait mode. Cool, right? Anyway, the big feature on the phone is really on the rear shooter. So it's a dual rear shooter. It's got a 16 megapixel f1.8 color sensor and then a 24 megapixel black and white. And the whole thing is powered by their neural processing unit, or NPU. So using their NPU, they can actually recognize the subject of a photo and then adjust the way that it looks in order to make it more pleasing. Let's go try it out on a few things, shall we? In order to make it more pleasing. Adjust the way that it looks in order to make it more pleasing. Let's go try it out on a few things, shall we? All right, so let's do some test shots with the AI camera. First, let's do with no AI. Hi, James. I'm trying to do you a service here by taking a good picture of you. It's not easy. Now let's turn on AI photography, and it has identified that this is a person, and it looks like it went and applied a background blur effect. So that's an interesting thing for it to do on its own. Let's try some food. That is not very photogenic food, but I'm sure it tastes good. Look at that. It identified food. Thought it was person for a second there. All right, a car should be a pretty easy one. Yep, wow, that did not take long. The instant I turned on AI, it was like, yep, that's a car. Let's find some nature. Dang, nature, you pretty. Yep, I get a little flower icon. So I want to talk about what an NPU actually does while we have a look at the shots from the AI versus non-AI photo comparison here. Subjectively, I like a more natural look to my photos, so I would probably have it off in many cases, but the underlying technology here is really the big story to me. We've been at the point for a while now where a phone's CPU can be expected to do all of the normal stuff that you'd want from it really well. You know, run the UI smoothly, bring up your apps list, open apps, whatever the case may be, without a ton of perceptible lag. So what an NPU does is it is a specialized processor. It actually gets dedicated silicon that is designed for convoluted neural networks. So this doesn't mean that all of a sudden you can just turn on AI mode and run around in the world with, you know, pointing your phone's camera at things, and it's just gonna start to have a broad...
Oh.
We don't really do case reviews anymore because, well, if we're being honest, they haven't really changed much lately other than some tempered glass here and some RGB there. But that's not the case with this one. This is the Silverstone Mammoth MM01, a spectacularly heavy black monstrosity whose claim to fame is being really difficult to open the box of, is being dust-proof and splash-proof. So things are about to get wet. Literally, we're gonna spray water on a system in this case under my radar. Water sprays. Now, I wouldn't recommend pressure washing your computer and gaming at the same time, but if you left a window open with the sprinkler running, your computer should be okay. It's just the rest of the room I'd be concerned about. Let's crack it open.
Yeah.
Oop.
Oh my.
Here we find the MM01's second party trick, a full-fat 20mm thick HEPA filter. Now, most fan filters are pretty good at mitigating dust buildup over the short term, but a filter like this is spec'd to remove 99.97% of particles larger than 0.3 microns. That's smaller than all but the smallest bacteria, so I guess you won't have to worry about your PC getting the flu.
Obviously, compared to a regular filter, this one's going to be a little more restrictive.
Right, but it looks like Silverstone thought of that because they not only have to push air through one just like that, but also the HEPA filter. And the solution? These babies. Two massive 180mm air penetrator fans. At max speed, which you can control with these knobs at the front, these move a whopping 340 CFM of air, about the same as a typical pedestal fan at medium. Pretty darn impressive. Then to top it off, there's actually space to install a rear 120mm fan as well. So, while Jake builds up a high-end system for our tests, let's get a little bit of preparation done.
Okay.
Be okay. It's just the rest of the room I'd be concerned about. Let's crack it open.
Yeah.
Oop.
Oh my.
Here we find the MM01's second party trick, a full-fat 20mm thick HEPA filter. Now, most fan filters are pretty good at mitigating dust buildup over the short term, but a filter like this is spec'd to remove 99.97% of particles larger than 0.3 microns. That's smaller than all but the smallest bacteria, so I guess you won't have to worry about your PC getting the flu.
Obviously, compared to a regular filter, this one's going to be a little more restrictive.
Right, but it looks like Silverstone thought of that because they not only have to push air through one just like that, but also the HEPA filter. And the solution? These babies. Two massive 180mm air penetrator fans. At max speed, which you can control with these knobs at the front, These move a whopping 340 CFM of air, about the same as a typical pedestal fan at medium. Pretty darn impressive. Then to top it off, there's actually space to install a rear 120 millimeter fan as well. So, while Jake builds up a high-end system for our tests, let's get a little bit of preparation done.
Okay, it's done. You want to see?
Yeah, let's have a look. All right. So there are a few things that stand out. A lot of cases these days are basically just the standard layout with a different bezel on the front. Not so here. So first of all, the layout is inverted. So the CPU's on the bottom and the GPU's on top. Second, our power supply actually takes a page out of 2006's book and is up on the top, but still with no ventilation. That's because the whole top was sealed to keep water from getting in, so the power supply actually has to suck air from the inside, then blow it out the back. Fortunately, these fans that we showed you guys at the front should keep it well supplied with fresh air. I'll take a moment here to show you guys this here CPU heatsink support thing. So there's actually one for both the graphics card and the CPU, which if you think about the applications of this case on, let's say something like a boat, makes a ton of sense, because if this PC's a rockin', you don't want your heatsink going a knockin' about on the inside. Because of the design of the filtering system, nearly 40% of the space inside the case is taken up by the filter in the front and the buffer in the rear to prevent water from entering the system. It does limit your cooling options, but even with the relatively limited space, the MMO1 can still fit 4 dual-slot graphics cards and easily houses up to an SSI EEB dual-socket motherboard if you're willing to limit your storage expansion to 2 3.5-inch drives. So this is all good in theory, but we want to see what kind of thermals we might expect with a high-end system in this case. So you want to throw the panel on there, and I'll get a stress test fired up here. It's actually kind of amazing how much air these fans move through that HEPA filter.
Yeah. I mean, they are at max speed.
Rather than leave it at these settings though, like this is quite loud. I'd want to go with not minimum, but quiet enough that it probably wouldn't bother anyone. That seems pretty good. And we're still getting like quite a bit of airflow back here. Let's give it some time to heat up.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are not bad results actually. GPU's turboing up to 1780 or so at its 82-degree maximum, and our CPU has only 2 cores above 60 degrees. 3, not too shabby.
Yeah, I mean, there's an NHD15 in there, so CPU temperatures are probably expected.
Are you ready to run it through the gauntlet?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, so we're here, we're gonna do the gauntlet. Linus is a little busy with another video, and I definitely am not doing this for the second time. No, this is, never done this test before. Well, let's turn her on, get these fans chooching. So there might be a little bit of dust in there, but I kind of have an idea of how much was in there beforehand. Just throw a little dust on there, get her nice and not nice, I guess. I don't know. I really hope we don't have to do this again because I do not have any dust left. All right, so there's actually quite a bit of dust up here. I'm not really sure how that got in there. Okay, so let's turn it off this time and see what's going on inside. I think for the most part it's gonna be pretty decent, but I imagine there's going to be some leakage. All right, so that is a little more dust than was in there before. So I don't think this system is perfect, but it actually held up pretty good. Regular computer dust is not gonna be an issue for this thing. maybe don't throw sawdust at it or use it in your wood shop. Okay, so let's see how the filter's doing. Oh no, that's gross. Oh! So the attacked side is pretty disgusting, but when we flip it over, I'd be kind of upset, to be honest. There's a little water in there, but for the most part, it looks like it's dry. Wow.
This.
Yeah, there's a little splash shield here too.
Oh. So, it doesn't have the greatest cooling characteristics out of any case we've ever tried, but it's utterly unique in its dust and water resistant design, making it at, what is it, 300 bucks? Yeah. Basically a no-brainer if you need a dust and water resistant PC case. FreshBooks is the small business accounting software custom built for how you want to work. It's a
I do.
I will find a way. I will find a way. I will find a way.
Love you, man, and what you really do. Really think you and Merc on 100 Thieves sounds awesome. Drew, thank you for the 1,000 bits, man. Unfortunately, that ain't gonna happen. Ooh. You heard nothing. Yeah, the winner is announced, but I'm gonna announce him at noon. Red rum, chewy like a cannonball. Red rum, chewy like a cannonball. Red rum. Sign up for the giveaway.
Tits in the
looking like it been dipped. Dipping that. Script looking like it been flipped.
Flipping that, flipping that, flipping that.
Pull up in that for my God. Whole squad getting that. Please say it ain't true. I had to go and cop
Octavio, man, I love Panda Express, but nah. I think overall, I'm getting like the I don't really like the whole Blitz Showdown solos because you always have to like use, it's very difficult to land without, you know, being on top of someone. Spid to win. Man, I miss Radical Heights, dude.
And I miss those. Oh, so
Just bought my first PC from NZXT, excited to make the switch from console. Dude, you're gonna love the look of the computer, man. Don't be discouraged if you aren't good right away. Mouse and keyboard's hard to get used to, all right? Jake Cyber, thank you for the 1,000 bits. Impulsive, I thank you for the $10 dono. Hey, bro, you're the best Fortnite player, hands down. Keep the good work. What's my favorite food / movie? I don't have a favorite movie. My favorite food, like a really good pasta, man. Like a really delicious, like, penne pasta.
Muscle, look at Ninja. Muscle, look at Ninja. Okay. I have 800 ping, 600 ping, 500 ping, 300 ping, 40 ping, okay. I had 800 ping! What is this game? 800 ping.